family, and all of us. And as we move forward through this process, I will meet with the Gear family shortly and then have further statement on the administrative internal investigative process that I was charged with as Chief of Police. I can confirm to you that Mr. Torres was terminated from his employment with the Fairfax County Police Department on July 31st, 2015. And specifically, it was an administrative investigation, and he violated our policies and procedures on the use of force, General Order 540.1. And I upheld the findings of that investigation, and my decision was the use of force was not reasonably necessary in this matter, and that was an administrative process that I performed that moved forward. Online, you can find our general orders and personnel regulations regarding what that process is, the timelines, and then the rights of all employees of the police department, specifically police officers, for appeal processes. So that had navigated fully, and that takes some time. At this time, I would just like to conclude with my deepest sympathy for the Gear family, the great men and women of the Fairfax County Police Department, our community, and we will move forward and do our best to make sure tragedy is the last resort of anything that we have to do in a use of force situation. And thank you for being here tonight. Chairman Bova.
Thank you for joining us and being with us for the cameras be kind. I'm recovering from a surgical procedure, so try to keep away from the neck area. This is a sad day, first of all, for the Gear family, and I am, however, pleased, and I know that they are too, that we are moving forward in justice being timely served. This is a sad day for Fairfax County police officers to experience one in our own being indicted. That's very, very sad. Let me also, however, say that Fairfax County has learned a lot through this very difficult process. We've learned a lot about sharing information in a timely way, in a way that is thorough and satisfying, and provides the kind of information that the community and the media expects to receive. I established in March a police ad hoc advisory commission to work with members of the community and to provide some recommendations regarding use of force, regarding responding in the case of mental illness, and also making sure that we are sharing and communicating information in a way that is thorough and timely. Our board and the chief has been adopting many of those recommendations even before some of them have formally come to the Board of Supervisors, where we've learned good practices. We are implementing things to improve the way we communicate with the community. Fairfax County is the safest jurisdiction of its size in the United States, and I think that is something that is important for us to remember. We have the men and the women of our public safety family to thank in part for making that happen. And that is not to say that we are perfect and there are things that we shouldn't do to improve our processes and to improve the way we communicate. Again, this is a sad day that a member of our police force has been indicted. I have every faith in the grand jury process, and I know that process now will be able to move forward now that there has been a charge. Thank you very much, and I'll turn things back over to the chief and we're ready to take any questions.
My question, we know kind of why the legal investigation was delayed, but why did it take your department nearly 2 years to fire officers?
Our current policy is not to conduct the administrative investigation with the directly involved officer until all the criminal proceedings have been concluded. In this particular case, that policy did not fit, so we proceeded ahead with interviewing the directly involved officer, Torres. timeline, if you look at the general orders, also on the officer-involved shooting website, you'll see a flow chart of the process, and generally it does take time. And these are policies and procedures that we need to improve, as the chairman talked about, and we are improving. So in this particular situation, I made the decision to move ahead with the administrative investigation and not wait for the conclusion of the criminal proceedings. Because if I abided by that policy, we still would not have an administrative decision. And obviously, administrative justice is just as important as the criminal justice process.
Chairman Bullock, for you, are you, as we do know, the county was accused of obstructing things, of not turning over documents. Are you confident that were something like this to happen again, we wouldn't have to wait nearly 2 years to know if somebody was going to be charged or not?
As I said earlier, I think we learned a lot, and I think,
Can you come to the microphone?
Sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
we've learned a lot. Remember, this is the first time we've had a situation like this where there has not been a relatively fast resolution to a police-involved shooting. In the past, maybe 6 months, maybe less than that, maybe a little bit more. But we've never had a situation that got as, I would use the word a bit convoluted, and held things up in a way that frustrated the Board of Supervisors. We were not happy that things ended up not moving forward to resolution, and instead that they wound up at the federal level, which was not really helpful. So the board was frustrated. We've taken steps to make sure that won't happen again. Some of the personality involved or the procedures that seem to have become involved have been resolved, and I have every confidence that this scenario would not happen again.
Have you all heard from the feds? The case went to the feds, who knows when, back in another era, right? And when you just mentioned it, which is what made me think of it, did they ever say anything to you again about, hey, we're still looking at this case, or hey, we've finished with this case? Do you have any word from them?
I have no further communications on it.
Not as far as I know, also. So it ended up being referred to the federal government, and then thinking somehow that maybe that would move things along, and it didn't move things along at all.
Right. What did you guys say something about Officer Torres' status? Is he going to surrender himself? Is he going to?
He's in the process of surrendering himself and cooperating with the detectives that will serve the warrant on him.
Is that going to be tonight?
It's in progress right now.
Will there be publicly available mugshots?
Yeah, the sheriff's office should have those available.
Process and the adult detention center.
You mentioned the delay in the release of information. Do you see that there will be repercussions for the individuals within the police department who contributed to those delays in both giving the information to Ray Moreau and then to the federal authorities as well?
We now have processes in place to make sure that does not happen again, and I can assure you, as the chairman just did, that we have changed policies and procedures in conjunction with the county attorney's office and the office of the Commonwealth Attorney to make sure that that does not happen again.
And do those outline specific timelines for the release of information?
On the release of information, one item that I am charged with as chief of police is to enhance our communications. And obviously over the last year, I believe all of you have seen enhanced communications. And obviously there's recommendations coming from different reports and different committees. And standing here tonight, the chairman and I, to be more transparent, this is something that I, as your chief of police, need to do more of, and I promise to do more of to keep that dialogue going and more informed and change policy, which we have.
I have a question about communication.
You may want to say something about the web product that you received.
Another example is last week we released 10 years of officer-involved shooting cases, 37 of them with a summary of each, and that's our effort. We'll listen into the community. We need to increase communication. It's a national dialogue. It's local here with this case and other cases, and that's our effort to keep all informed. The community deserves that. And, we're leaning forward to push and be leaders in this and to overcome what was acceptable in the past is no longer acceptable in the present.
There was just a case 2 weeks ago. There was a murder, Eric John LaRock in Fairfax County, where the Fairfax County Police did not put out any information about the murder until they were contacted by members of the media about the murder. As you said, there's change in the works in terms of communications, but we're seeing some of the same issues come up again and again.
Well, I have not heard that complaint, and I'll follow up with Captain O'Carroll, Public Information Office, to make sure that for some reason, whatever the rationale is for that, I'll get the answer to make sure that if there was an error there, we're not committing the same one again. So I apologize for that if that happened.
The site in particular, though, deals with police-involved incidents, and not, I guess, any murder that happens in Fairfax County.
With these new procedures, why has there not been a significant release in information in the McKenna death?
I've provided in the initial stages a 3-page release on that and promised the community every 30 days an update. When the case investigation, the criminal investigation, was completed by the detectives of the Fairfax County Police Department and turned over to the Office of the Commonwealth's Attorney, who did a media release that it's turned over. At this particular point in time, it's under legal review by the Office of the Commonwealth's Attorney, so we're waiting the outcome of whether or not there's any criminal liability on the McKenna case at this time. As far as moving forward with the McKenna case, whether it's administrative policies, the use of a taser in the adult detention center, the sheriff is an independent agency that does not report to the Board of Supervisors. So the sheriff would be responsible for following up with the administrative side of that matter, and we wait to hear from the decision of criminal liability, which is pending.
Do you release the video in that case at the end of the criminal investigation?
I don't have a copy of the video. The one true copy I had is evidence that was submitted with the case file to the Office of the Commonwealth's Attorney, and the administrative property owner of that video is the Sheriff's Office.
To clarify, you said Adam Torres in the process of turning himself in tonight. Do you expect he will spend tonight in jail, or is this a set of time to turn himself in kind of thing? Do you know those details at this point?
It would be inappropriate for me to comment on the criminal justice process when someone turns himself in to the magistrate's office and proceeds into a different element of the criminal justice system, which the police department is not in control. So that might be more appropriate for the other components of the criminal justice system to answer that question. But he's fully cooperating with us.
Great, thanks, Chief and Chairman. Just a couple of closing remarks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for getting the message out to the great community that this police department proudly serves. As was asked and the chief commented, we're going to be working with the Fairfax County Sheriff's Office to share the arrest photo of Adam Torres once that process takes place. We work very closely with the Sheriff's Office and that line of communication. So the police department's public information office will put out an announcement once he's processed and turned over to the Fairfax County Sheriff's Office, and we'll include that photograph as well. Again, thank you for being here. That ends